Cold air is where the purples are on this map. Winnipeg -14 this afternoon. Edmonton -15. Over to Montreal, even below average at that -9. Over towards Calgary, you're +8. Vancouver 11 degrees with a lot of rain through the day.
You think?
So in the east, we're looking at below average temperatures here in Halifax at -11. Ottawa -7 with a little bit of flurries. Same story in Toronto, -5. Some scattered snow flurries through the afternoon. Look at Calgary, though, 8 degrees. Edmonton, a sharp contrast, -15 for your daytime high. Let's escape it all and go to Nassau. It is 25 degrees on Saturday with a mix of sun and cloud. Perfect conditions for walking around, even jumping in the ocean. Freeport's 25 with some cloudy conditions, and Georgetown, 23.
The ice crystals feel like little needles, and you can't talk.
And snow will be pelting your face like this in parts of the prairies moving to Ontario this weekend.
Meanwhile, how about 2-degree Lake Ontario water? That sounds like surfing weather to me.
And winter has been full speed ahead this week in the east.
All right, well, we'll end it as we began with the boys in Cape Breton.
I think he's being inspired by the groundhog here this morning. Also, oh, careful now. All right, so there's the strength of the wind right there.
Today, heavy amounts of rain moving through the North Shore, Howe Sound, and Fraser Valley. Glad you could join us. Meteorologist Nicole Karkic with you. Quick shot here at the country for this afternoon. This stands out. Calgary at 8 degrees this afternoon. Edmonton -15. Quite a sharp contrast. Toronto -5. Halifax -11. Let's look at some photos here. We'll start off with, this is our Weather Network vehicle. We're in Nova Scotia today with Mark Robinson as well as Nathan Coleman, and their car was stuck at their hotel. We've got them out safely right now, but that is the scene across the east. This was sent to Chris Murphy here. Another snow day in Summerside, PEI. That was yesterday, but we still have a snow day today again for many across Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. Could barely get out of my car out of the driveway. This is from Kenneth Powers, and you can see here 12 centimeters of snow. His car also completely buried in. And in Halifax yesterday, we did see some nice fog. Well, we look at the hashtags. This is how you can send your photos on Twitter, and we can find them easier. Here's Kim McDonald now with how weather impacts olive oil. And Alberta clippers have been moving across the country for the past few weeks, causing big snows. This week, we've got a boundary that's causing rainfall warnings in parts of BC, including Vancouver, snowfall moving into southern Saskatchewan, and some snow making its way down towards southern Ontario, especially for the weekend. Big storm in Atlantic Canada is prompted storm watch here in the Weather Network. We've got snowfall warnings as well as winter storm warnings for the western shores of Newfoundland. Corner Brook is included. Deer Lake has already seen 41 centimeters of snow. St. John's starting to see that rain pushing in. We'll also see a quick cool down in temperatures. So notice Gander in the blue. That's a flash freeze warning. So already along the Trans-Canada Highway, we're seeing a lot of slick roads. People saying on Twitter, avoid this area for driving because it is very slick. And then we've got rain around Burgeo and Buren. Up to 70 millimeters on the high end. Cape Breton Island still seeing the strong winds and the snowfall, but things do taper off by the afternoon. But nonetheless, some school closures today across Nova Scotia for all the public schools, and as well some closures in Newfoundland. Wind warnings a concern for St. John's over towards Gander, gusts up to 100, maybe 130 kilometers an hour on the high end. So that's in the pink zone. Strongest winds out of the south, then a shift in direction to a northerly flow and that rapid cool down again. It comes for you this afternoon and evening, and we see the winds starting to subside for Saturday. And in fact, the weekend will be sunny, but it will be cold. This afternoon, Montreal -9 with about a centimeter of snow. Take a look at this must-see video. Maybe it'll be okay, boy, oh boy. Those are some adventure seekers. I'm not up for that. Kasia Badurka is not doing anything icy today. Tell us the benefits of what you're doing. Nicole and Chris with you. Big stories in the east. No shortage of snow, but gas, especially in Moncton. Extreme cold making a comeback, and an update on watches and warnings. And boy, oh boy, there are lots.
All right, well, let's begin in the east, and our storm watch coverage begins right now.
So a quick look across the country before we get into the nitty-gritty on the storm watch. We've got Calgary at 8 degrees, and wow, look at that. It's all about location. Edmonton minus 15. Toronto's at minus 5, and Halifax minus 11.
Blizzard warnings in effect for Iqaluit, and for this morning we've got some extreme cold alerts around Whitehorse. All right, let's start in the east. Nicole, we have a big mess in Newfoundland. We still have a lot of highway advisories, so you're advised to stay off the highway. Trans-Canada around Grand Falls, Windsor, and pretty much up and down the entire west coast. And I'm telling you something, those advisories are not going to drop because all this rain is going to freeze over. A risk of flash freeze comes once that cold front moves through later today.
That's right. Places like Gander, for example, St. John's, just a rain and wind event for you. Cape Breton Island still seeing those howling winds, but things are tapering off. This is the additional snowfall into Saturday morning, 30 to 60 centimeters. St. Anthony over towards Corner Brook, too.
Deer Lake has seen 41 centimeters, and it's still coming down. All right, so snow in the west, rain in the east, but again, the cold air is going to work its way east, so it's going to change everything to snow and freeze things up. It's really the morning across Nova Scotia. The afternoon won't be too bad, just cold.
Yeah, that's right. And we take you next to this shot right here.
Across Ontario, a couple storm systems to talk about through the weekend, and this could drop 10 to 15 centimeters of snow in pulses. Southwestern Ontario, they'll likely get mixed over with some ice pellets, freezing drizzle, and the like.
So note the timing on this. This is Saturday afternoon into the evening into Sunday.
Yes.
So our next big storm, Barrie, the ski hills getting a nice fresh 10 to 15 centimeters.
Yes.
Toronto seeing, though, that amount of snow as well. Good news is it does look to be clearing out for the Monday. And then this storm in the prairies, Chris.
Yeah, again, it's all being driven by the big Pineapple Express in the west, and these clippers are forming off it. So it's several waves of snow. It looks like today the heavy snow north of Edmonton. Saskatoon, you picked up 6 centimeters through the overnight. You're between Saskatoon and Prince Albert, Highway 11 is going to get completely snow covered for the next couple of days.
That's right.
Hope in the Fraser Valley in the eastern is pouring rain right now, and again across Vancouver Island. And watch the drive on the Rogers Pass, up to 25 centimeters of snow, and that could change to rain.
Yeah, and very windy too along the highway passes. Through to Saturday, Vancouver, 30 to 60 millimeters of rain. Stay safe. Thanks for joining us. Nicole Karkic with you. Looking across the country, there's really a lot going on. So one big story in the west is rain moving into BC, Vancouver Island, Metro Vancouver itself, very soggy, persistent rain all day. Snow in northern Alberta has prompted warnings. Edmonton, you're out, but still some lingering snow, and that's going to jet right into southern Saskatchewan and southern Manitoba tonight. And of course, we've got our big story in the east with flash freeze warnings in central Newfoundland, snowfall warnings, winter storm warnings in Cape Breton Island. And let's go right now to Cape Breton Island, where we find Nathan Coleman and Mark Robinson, and looks like the plows are doing their job, so that's good to see.
They're out there in full force. This is all about the blowing snow. The winds are still pretty intense out here, so it should be a fun one, and I'll be making my way back to Halifax as well, so oh, careful now. All right, so there's the strength of the wind right there.
And Nathan, sturdy as a rock. He's standing solid. He's from the Maritimes, well. And storm hunter Mark Robinson just falling all over the place. All right, this morning we've got the snow, western shores of Newfoundland. Gander is starting to see that change over to rain because temperatures are above the freezing mark. Another part of the story in the east, the howling winds. Bonavista has seen wind gusts up to 107 kilometers an hour. Could still see that across the Avalon Peninsula, including St. John's, through the morning with the southerly winds. So anything in pink, our strongest winds. It does start to die down. Notice by the evening we get into some more of a northerly flow and a very dramatic cool down in your temperatures as the day goes on. Halifax, you're a minus 11 this afternoon. St. John's, you are plus 4, but then by tomorrow you're going to be well below the freezing mark. Well, today we are definitely not seeing as much sunshine. Kasia Verdurker, though, not spending time outdoors, but some time inside. Tell us where you are.
Here, back to you inside.
Enjoy. Taking a nice day off there inside for Kasia. So a little bit of snow in southern Ontario today, some lake enhancement as well off the shores of Georgian Bay and Huron. But here's the weekend, Saturday through to Sunday. Toronto, note you're in the 10 to 15 centimeters, a little bit less in the southwest, and big snow moving to the prairies today.
Fantastic. We'll get you all the updates. Western Newfoundland, the snow's been coming down very, very quickly. I suspect a lot of school closures today. Some areas could see 30, even up to locally 60 centimeters of snow.
That's right, especially in the higher elevations. And then we take you next to the type of weather we're seeing here. So the green is the rain. That's St. John's over towards Gander, but all that snow on the western shores.
And the cold front is moving eastward, so there's a risk of flash freeze today as well as central portions of the province. All right. right, so we'll check in with Nicole. It's not a lot, but it's been sticking. Could grease up the roads for the morning drive.
That's right. So a little bit of snow this morning clears out, leaves a bit behind, a little bit of cloud cover with this boundary coming through, and then northern Ontario through the overnight sees a light dusting as well. But the bigger story, Chris, comes this Saturday.
Yeah, we could be looking at several pulses of snow Saturday and into Sunday, and accumulations could look like this in the neighborhood of potentially 10 to 15 centimeters of snow. Southwestern Ontario, perhaps some freezing drizzle and ice pellets mixed in.
That's right. So happy for skiers, but definitely plan accordingly for your Saturday night travel. And moving towards the Prairie Provinces, Chris, a lot of snow in places like Saskatoon, 15 to 25 centimeters starting this afternoon, shifting into Winnipeg tonight.
Now, Regina, lesser amounts of snow, but the risk of freezing rain and ice pellets. In Edmonton, you'll note an additional maybe 5 centimeters, but north and west of you, heavier amounts have fallen and likely will fall.
Yes, and
to these storm systems. And look at the difference. I mean, Vancouver's had about 30 millimeters of rain, but West Van, 118 in Squamish up in Howe Sound there, almost 80 millimeters. And Comox on the island, 50 millimeters of rain.
And we've got more to go. Check this out. Vancouver, 30 to 60 millimeters. That's through to Saturday. Saturday tapers off a little bit, but we still have a little bit of rain through Saturday. It doesn't just end. And then we've got in this reddish color, including parts of Vancouver Island, 90 to 120 millimeters of rain. And then Saturday, a quick shot across the country. It's pretty messy, Chris.
Yeah, Manitoba, Ontario, more snow into the weekend. Okay, our storm watch coverage continues, and again, we'll have updates from our teams in the field coming up.
The ice crystals feel like little needles, and you can't talk.
And snow will be pelting your face like this in parts of the prairies moving to Ontario this weekend.
Meanwhile, how about 2-degree Lake Ontario water? That sounds like surfing weather to me.
And winter has been full speed ahead this week in the east.
All right, well, we'll end it as we began with the boys and Cape Breton.
I think he's being inspired by the groundhog here this morning. Also, careful now. All right, so there's the strength of the wind right there.